Hi everyone, welcome to the Numerology and Astrology for April 25th, 2020. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 6, and you start with the 15 and you add the 1 and the 5 together and you actually get a 6. Now sometimes I like to separate the numbers out, like the 1 and the 5 today. And the 1 is the number of individuality, it's the number of humility, it's the number of authenticity. And then the number 5, as you know from listening to yesterday, the number 5 is the number of physicality, the body, sensuality, healing, teaching, taking care of the earth. It's directly connected to the earth. Everything about this body is connected to the divine feminine. The number 5 is a feminine number, and so it's where we can pull in and connect to the feminine. So I love the combination, because if you add the 1 and the 5 together, you get a 6. And the 6 is the number of Saint Hildegard. It is the number of solitude and spiritual seeking and learning by contemplation. And it's the number of the hermit, the celibate, the seeker, the path to enlightenment. And yet you have the 1 and the 5 that are making this happen. So the 1 basically says, hey, if you want to be an enlightened contemplative path, you first and foremost have to be authentic, and you have to be authentic, sincere, honest, truthful. You have to go slow. You have to kind of see yourself as an I. And then the number 5 says you have to be humble about your body, humble about life and death, humble about the earth. Humble that, to me, it's a miracle that this body works at all. I mean, when you think of all the complex moving parts in a human body, and yes, it glitches and it screws up every once in a while. And, but, are you paying attention to your body? Are you eating well? Are you eating organic? Are you stuffing yourself with things that will like sugar, that will jazz you up but not allow you to be authentic? If you take too much coffee, too much stimulants, too much sugar, too much of anything really, you can actually use that as an addictive pattern. And I think this whole world is addictive. I think everything on this planet is addictive. Bodies are addictive. Taste is addictive. Drugs are addictive. Meditation is addictive, yoga is addictive, breathing is addictive, there's all these things that are really addictive here. So, how do we find this balance? And the first thing is we have to start with ourselves and say, what is being authentically me? And then from there, say, okay, if I'm being authentically me, am I listening to this body? Am I actually paying attention to what this body needs? And I've always been surprised by people who say, Suzanne, you're really weird because you know what your body is telling you. Like, you listen to your body and your body says, no, I shouldn't do that today. Or, I need to take this herb or this supplement today. And most people say that what their mind, notice mind rather than authentic self, their mind tells them is absolutely the addictive pattern. So more sugar, more coffee, more escapism, more running, more all this kind of thing. And so, to me, it's a really tricky thing to navigate a physical body with lots of moving parts and what it needs, and how can I allow my authentic self to be expressed the best through this physical form. So that's the 1 and 5 together, and make it into a 6. And so, sometimes you need to be alone. Sometimes you need to be isolated. And clearly the divine feminine is saying that the whole world needs to be alone at this point and contemplate things. And, what is the path to your enlightenment? Now, the number 6 is also associated with music. And so when anybody in their number pattern, the way I have it, the way I do numerology, if they have a gift of 6, religion and Saint Hildegard and people that were really strong in the vibration of the 6, they were musicians, and they could see that there is something meditative and spiritual and expansive and uplifting about music. And so that's why churches always have music. I mean, and churches that don't have music are really missing out, and they don't get that euphoric feeling when there's all the singing, So it's like when you go into gospel and you sit with all the gospel singers, it's like, whoo, it's like praise the Lord and hallelujah. Yeah, it's this very euphoric energy. And so, but, with the music, you are searching for the doorway through your body again to open to a higher vibration. And there's a lot of things that open up that higher vibration. So singing is definitely one of them. Music is absolutely one. Dance is one. Prayer is one. But I want you to not pray for yourself as much as I want you to pray for this world. Because again, we're trying to be humble. It's like to use your energy for a greater good rather than getting necessarily what you want. Pray for the animals that are suffering. Pray for the old people that are lost and alone. Pray for the people that are sick with the coronavirus. Pray for the families who have lost a person to coronavirus. And place your intentions towards that greater good and focus your energy in the direction of healing and helping, because you can never go wrong with that. Okay. The big story today with the astrology is that Pluto becomes still in the sky. It's called going station. It like stations, and it's like a train going into a station and stopping. And then it turns retrograde today. And it will be causing us to review and reflect until October 4th, 2020. Yes, I did say October 4th, 2020. Pluto is a slow-moving planet, and Pluto has a tendency to drag you through the rocks and thorns toward a time bomb that is ticking. And so, because Pluto is a planet of death, rebirth, transformation, and change. And so, Pluto is often an instigator when it comes to the different astrological aspects. And once again, Pluto is doing it because this is one of a lot of very significant astrological patterns that are going to be unfolding in this intensely chaotic shift that is beginning. Yeah, I said beginning. Okay, there's going to be other planets going retrograde. In fact, all the planets are going to go retrograde, which is rare by itself. And with it, we're going to have some big eclipses also. So let's just keep this simple for the moment. And let's just take this one piece of the complex puzzle at the moment. Okay, so if you've been feeling more afraid than normal and you are having trouble sleeping, that is because of so much astrology, including this Pluto pushing us to grow. But Pluto is all about extremes, and you are being pushed completely to your edge. And most people experience this and respond by feeling a tremendous amount of suffering. And that is because Pluto loves to show you that what you thought you wanted will not work, nor will you get it, nor will you get the outcome or the feeling that you wanted. And it can be terribly painful to let go of an ideal, but that's, especially one that you so desperately wanted, but that's why there is suffering. So as the Buddhists say, the root of all suffering is attachment. And this retrograde is going to show us that our attachment not only will not work, but it will also become completely irrelevant in this time and place. Yes, all of us want to go back to a time when we had functional government and where the government worked for the people, or at least did a better job than almost every other country. And I don't know how we're going to get there, to be really honest. It's like there's been so much damage done to our country and so much damage done to democracy. It's going to take decades probably for this to come back around. So this puts it all back on us. And so this comes back around to, this isn't about what you want the government to do, but it's about what are you going to do from this point on as we go forward. So from now through October 4th is a test of faith. Not that old kind of blind, uneducated faith that we unfortunately see too much of, but that type of faith that is going to not cause suffering. Okay, so if faith is going to cause you suffering, it's probably blind and it's probably uneducated, okay? And so making up an assumption just because you want it to be true is not faith. And so, again, what's required now is a type of faith from generosity and kindness. This type of faith in human nature does not come from feeling strong, but from feeling your own weakness and fear, and thus being able to feel into the suffering of others in this distressing period. No one is better than another. No one is without experiencing this retrograde in some way. Everyone's going to take a hit on this. I mean, this is, this is not just about us, it's about everyone, right? And so, we are at this very critical place because the planet Jupiter is going to conjunct Pluto at a very critical degree, and it makes you driven and focused on helping and spiritually growing. Yay! But that's not all. The Jupiter-Pluto conjunction is also going to square Mercury, and such an aspect magnifies all actions to the extreme. Death becomes extreme. Ruthlessness becomes extreme. Self-righteousness becomes extreme. Obsessive thoughts, actions, and words become extreme. It is a highly negative, volatile combination of energies that can manifest as racism, persecution, nationalism, victimization, and revenge. This indicates a highly restrictive moment. So know that the entire time until October, travel is going to continue to be highly restricted. And I feel bad for the travel industry, and I feel bad for everybody who works in the travel industry because I don't know I don't know how you guys are doing it. I mean, it's really intense. And then we've got this Jupiter-Pluto square Mercury aspect is also known to be a factor in respiratory problems. Mercury rules the lungs, and Pluto is about death, rebirth, transformation, and change. And Pluto also rules all global atrocities such as pandemics, viruses, and plagues. Mercury is also a planet that rules the hands and the feet. And so notice all the hand washing and being aware of what you touch, and are you touching your face, and all these things. Okay, so I'm fearful that the lackadaisical attitude of Americans is going to get many more killed than would be necessary. And it may feel hard to wrap your head around such a situation. It can cause despair and depression because there is this lingering question. Why can't we get appropriate actions from our government? Wonder. We are in a time of extreme letting go. There are those out there that feel energy strongly, and this is probably the strongest energy you may experience astrologically over the next 2+ years. And I mean this entire cycle of the retrograde. So starting on the 25th of April, all the way through until December, okay? Now, power games will not work because we are in a fated moment where a repeating theme that has wreaked havoc on the world in the past has caused addictions and prejudices has come around again. And you will see many behaviors as toxic, and you need to let them go. So notice what controls your behavior. Let go of those things that are not good for you and thus limit your spiritual evolution. Do you see your own destructive tendencies? Are you going to look and reassess how you see your power? The moon moves into Gemini as you are sleeping, and when you awake, it will give you some more curiosity and a new instinct to respond, thank God. And communications will be more and more important. Those that yell, blame, and throw hate will be removed from your life. The moon trines Saturn, pushing you to follow through with your duties. And actions are more deliberate, and you may want to do a good job and be highly responsible. So there is a Venus-Saturn minor square, making you emotionally cautious, guarded, and worried about money. Know that there are many small issues that are going to test your patience. Stay kind regardless. Do not jump to conclusions because all the information is not yet in. Do not latch on to wild ideas because too much is changing and everyone is not going to know where we are all being led. So what we do know is that nothing will ever be the same after we are through this crisis. And that's probably a very good thing. Okay. So, my quote for the day. The easiest way to understand the universe is to walk in a wild landscape. All wildness is beautiful. Desolate is beautiful. Jungle is beautiful. Mountains are beautiful. Oceans are beautiful. Listen to the silence. When you are no longer holding on to thoughts, but instead holding on to your heart, only then will you find what you are seeking. Okay, my blog for today. It's a poem with some other stuff afterwards, so bear with me. Thank you guys for bearing with me. Thank you guys for listening. There are things in life that are hard to explain. Humanity wants life to be simple and plain. But we walk in a field of energy and light. We are at choice to do things that are wrong or right. Energy continues in all time and space. You exist because of your inner love and grace. You do not die, but continue on. Your soul is connected to something beyond. We are all one when we die and transcend. So choose to be kind rather than offend. Without the love, your soul becomes lost. Without compassion, your soul is tossed. Tortured by unaddressed fear and pain, caught in limbo with your emotional strain. Okay, so I think everyone is feeling it. I know that I'm feeling it. I can feel the suffering happening in the world right now, and I can feel it building up to a crescendo, and the intensity is alarming, and the fear in the world is very real. The place where I consciously choose to fall back into is to feel the animals that are finally feeling free. Now, for the first time in a long time, it's as if they can have a normal day rather than have to adjust their behavior to avoid humans. This causes me such great pain to notice how much other forms of life try so hard to avoid us. How dangerous must we be that entire ecosystems have altered their natural biorhythm just to stay out of our way? And that awareness all by itself horrifies me, and I hope it horrifies you too. I wish for humanity that we can coexist with other life rather than to cause it more pain. I wish for a world where we can learn to connect and communicate with our natural world rather than cause it so much anguish. I wish for a world where nastiness is passé and not socially accepted. And I know that getting there in my lifetime is probably impossible. But I am still willing to give it a try and go in that direction, because without that type of drive and a determination, things in this world can become hopeless. And I am unwilling to accept that. We have to radically shift out of this horrific place that has successfully destroyed the old America and now figure out how to make a completely new one. It is going to take a lot of effort on everyone's part to get there, and it will take decades to heal. This means that everyone is going to have a great deal of stamina and determination that can go a long distance. This is not a marathon. This is a triathlon. We are going to have many skills to navigate through this moment. We cannot do it alone. We will have to learn to work together because there is no other choice. Thanks you guys for listening. Have a wonderful day. Rest, sleep. Talk to you later.